Hi, welcome. My name is Emily Good, and I am happy that you're here. I had a spectacular reading month in the month of October. Even despite having like a little bit of a difficult time up here, I ended up really happy with the books that I read in October. I ended up reading 8. That's really good for me. I typically average about 6. So I am very happy to have stepped it up a little bit this month. I did DNF a book, and I did utilize the library for 2 books, one in audio and one a physical book. And at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you how much I saved. I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. I am going to tell you, of course, first about the book that I ended up DNFing. This was a total shock. I was absolutely thinking that this was going to be a 5-star read because I was enjoying it so much, and I was still enjoying it at the time I decided to DNF, and I'm going to tell you why I decided to. I will put timestamps down below if you're not interested, but I just kind of have to get it out of my system and explain myself, and then I'll move on. So, Interview with a Vampire by Anne Rice. Like I said, I was so enjoying it. I even purchased it on Audible so that I could listen along, and the audio was really good. The book was really good. I was really enjoying it after reading the 2 other vampire books that I read in the month of October. I was so enjoying the point of view, hearing Luis tell this young interviewer about what his experience has been as a vampire. It was so unique, so different, so phenomenal to me. I enjoyed every single part of it. There was seduction. There was the evil vampire Lestat. I just was enjoying literally every single aspect of it. Why did I DNF it? I am a mom of 2, going on 3. I am due in January. And this is probably the most prudish, closed-minded, I don't want to call myself weak, but there was a part in it, and this may or may not be a spoiler, but no, it may be a spoiler. I'm just going to go ahead and say it may be a spoiler. But I don't care if vampires are murdering adults. I don't care even to know that they've murdered a lot of different people by, doing their blood sucking. I don't care about that. It doesn't bother me. I love to read about murder. I love all that stuff. But when a child becomes involved, and I truly cannot believe that I'm saying this, that I got so upset about it. It wasn't just talking about hurting a child. It was very detailed. It was very detailed. I didn't like the way that Lestat was kind of seductively talking to Louis, oh, you want this child. They were caressing the child's back, and I could not get down with it. Even if I would have skipped ahead a few pages, which I considered doing, I couldn't have gotten down with it just because I wouldn't know what else to expect. I don't really have triggers except for apparently really in detailed hurting of children. I just feel like I know that it's fiction. I've already talked all this out with Will because he was like, I feel like you just look for reasons to DNF books. And I was like, I don't think that that's true. I don't feel like I look for reasons to DNF books. And I promise you I will move on, but I just have to say my piece about it. I feel that there are real life children at this very moment who are being victimized, hurt, molested, evil things are happening to them, things that we might not even really know about or pay attention to. I don't know, because I'm not luckily part of that world. But I just, when I'm reading a fiction book and I'm hearing, I'm reading like about this child, and these 200-year-old vampires or whatever getting pleasure from this child, I just couldn't get down with it. Would I recommend this book to somebody else? Absolutely. I think it's a fantastic vampire book. Will I ever go back to it? I don't know. Maybe. I know, all I know is that at this point, I am a mom. I've got 2 little babies. I have really tuned in since becoming a mom to the evils that happen against children for whatever damn reason. I started getting into that after I had kids. I don't know. But I just feel like too much realness is happening in the world, and I don't want to pay any more attention to it. So I needed to put this down. But would I recommend it? Absolutely. It's just not for me. It's not for me at this time, but maybe I will go back to it because I was loving it so much. I was so excited that it was a series. I genuinely was loving every single aspect about it. It was just that one thing. And I simply started getting a grimy feeling. I was like, I can't get down with this. And I put it down. I stuck to it. I don't feel like I look for reasons to DNF books, but, you know, if something is telling me to stop reading a book, then I'm going to stop reading it. So that is what I have to say about Interview with a Vampire. I'll tell you about the next 2 vampire books I read. Dracula by Bram Stoker. I rated this a 5-star. I loved every single aspect of it. I did make a vlog, but I will say again here, I always shirked at the experience of reading Dracula. It intimidated me like crazy. Yes, I need to brush his hair. Yeah, the back of your hair, buddy. Don't show the back of your head. Okay, don't do that either. Don't do that either. So I have always been just so intimidated by Dracula, and finally this scary season in October, I was like, I need to read one of the classics. I need to read it. And I am so glad that I did. So if you don't know, this story follows Jonathan Harker. He finds himself in Transylvania at Count Dracula's castle. Count Dracula comes off as a super stand-up guy, and Jonathan Harker ends up there because he's helping Count Dracula find real estate in like London or something like that. So, of course, while at this castle, Jonathan Harker starts discovering some super weird things that are happening. He comes to realize some things. And basically the story is told at first in Jonathan Harker like writing different diary entries, which I didn't think that I would enjoy, but I actually really, really did. It was kind of nice. I liked only seeing Jonathan Harker's interpretation of things, not a writer telling me, hey, this is what's happening. So there was still such a level of mystery without me feeling like I was being bamboozled and things were being kept from me. So I think I liked that. I think that that's why I liked that style of writing. And then it switches to Jonathan's fiance, Mina, letters between her and her best friend, Lucy. I loved the letter writing. I loved the journal entries. I loved the way that this group of people banded together to fight Dracula. I loved every aspect of it. I didn't find it difficult to read at all. If you have not read Dracula yet, but you have been interested in it, this is the Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition. It's so stunning. It's a floppy paperback book. I love these editions. But I would recommend it for sure. I gave it a 5-star read. I didn't have a hard time at all. What I will say that I think helped with my reading experience was if you do have Audible, you can download, it's free, and it's like a full cast of people reading this, and I really, really, really enjoyed that. So I would listen while I would read along. I never listened without reading along. I never read without listening along. So it was a really, really, really good experience for me. I felt like I always understood. I can't see what the reading experience would be like if I just read the book or just listened to the book. I don't know what that experience would be like, but combining the two together, it was extremely easy to follow. It was extremely enjoyable for me. So that is Dracula by Bram Stoker. So the next vampire book I read was Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu. I hope I'm saying that right. I think that this cover is so stunning. I actually got it on Pango Books because I was listening to it. I think I got it on Audible. I think again it might have been free on Audible. So I was listening to it and I was really enjoying it. So of course I had to order it. I had to have it. And I got this stunning copy. I just think that it's so cool. I just think it's so stunning. But so Carmilla, you've got a young girl who's living in a great big house, a manor, if you will. I don't know what it is. She's living with her dad. She's lonely. She just finds out at the beginning of the book that her friend who was supposed to come, or this young girl who's supposed to come to spend the summer with her, came down with an illness, or she died, or something happened to this girl. It wasn't really important. Just what needs to be known is that now this girl is sad because she's spending more time by herself. She doesn't have anybody to play with or whatever. Well, and then this carriage mysteriously shows up driving all wild like a gorgeous woman tips over her carriage, and her daughter is kind of thrown out, and the mom like leaves her with oh crap, what's her name? Is it Laura, the main little girl? I think it might be Laura. I could have sworn I'd remember it, so I didn't write it down, but I think it's Laura. She's a very sweet little girl, and Carmilla is she's needing to be taken care of, and somehow her mom ends up leaving her with Laura and her dad at their manor. These people never met. But basically this was a tale of hi. Carmilla was, I ended up rating it 3 stars, and I honestly, now that I'm trying to talk about it, I might end up rating it 2. I wish I wouldn't have bought the book. I just do silly things sometimes. It was kind of forgettable. I didn't feel like it really went into that great of a story. Like, it just kind of seemed like nothing was really happening. Despite being about a vampire. I loved the way the two young girls loved each other. I really loved their connection. I loved the way Carmilla seemed to love Laura. I honestly couldn't even tell you how the book ended. So it's quite forgettable to me. But do I have it on my bookshelf now? Yep, I do. Yeah, I do. I wish I would have waited until I was done reading it, or listening to it rather, but I don't know. If people love this, could you let me know why? No judgment. I'm just genuinely wondering, like, did I miss something? I just didn't really feel like anything super spectacular was happening. And I really wanted to enjoy it because this is the original vampire book. I think. I'm pretty sure it is. I could be wrong in that, but yeah, Carmilla, it was okay. It was fine. I did not hate it. I didn't DNF it. I just like was kind of happy when it was over because I was like, okay, well, you know, great. Okay, so I want to tell you about the other classic monster book I read. Again, this was in my vlog, like my OG monsters vlog, where I read Dracula and Frankenstein. So here's Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I will say it was a little bit slower getting into than Dracula. Dracula, I was there. I was immediately there. I was like, yes, here I am. Count Dracula's manor, I'm there. Frankenstein took a little bit longer, and let me tell you why. So there was a lot of science. There was a lot of talking about like wanting to be a voyager, an explorer. So there was a lot of that. It was a lot of description. It was a lot of like, I was like, where is this? Can we just get to the creation of the monster, please? So you've got Victor Frankenstein. And he is kind of, again, I believe it's journal entries, but he is kind of he's writing letters and he's writing journal entries. And he ends up he gets obsessed with this idea. He wants to create life, and he creates life. That's Victor Frankenstein. He creates the monster Frankenstein. And immediately upon this Frankenstein, I'm going to call Frankenstein, the monster Frankenstein, and Victor. But Victor is Victor Frankenstein. So upon Frankenstein rising, Victor is disgusted. Frankenstein is very ugly. He's very large. He is very just not easy to look at. He very much looks like a monster, which I will say is not Frankenstein's fault because Frankenstein did not ask to be created. But Victor gets disgusted. He runs out of the place. By the time he gets back, I think Frankenstein is gone. So you kind of get to see things play out. Frankenstein ends up committing some crime, and Victor's personal life is personally very much affected by it. Probably my favorite part of the book was where Victor finally gives the time of day to the monster Frankenstein. I loved hearing the monster Frankenstein talk about his experiences. It's a tale of a monster who was created by a man who I guess he had good intentions. I think he had good intentions, but he messed up. He didn't create what he was actually trying to. Well, now there's this creature out in the world who he has kind of set free, and so he has been left out. Frankenstein, the monster Frankenstein, is very isolated. He doesn't have anybody in this world. He's just kind of having to hide in the shadows because he's scary. People don't want anything to do with him. They are terrified of him. He is seen as a monster, and Victor has just kind of left him out high and dry, whereas Victor should be the one taking care of him. That's my opinion. I ended up having a ton of empathy for the monster Frankenstein, and despite the people that he kills, the things that he does, he's only doing it out of loneliness, out of sadness, out of not knowing what else to do. I kind of agree with Victor in not going through. In not going through with what the Monster Frankenstein requests. I kind of thought that that was the best decision, but I ended up rating this a 5-star, even though it was slower to get into. And it was slower to read, I felt like. I did the same thing, though, with Frankenstein as I did with Dracula. I ended up feeling really, really sad. I thought that the ending of Frankenstein was supremely better than the ending of Dracula. I felt more. It made me think. It made me... I still have thought about Frankenstein since finishing it. I really felt very strongly for the ending of Frankenstein. I felt really, really sad for him. And that's really what I have to say about it. I will say that Michaela Reed's at this point, it's just kind of a joke to me how many times I mention her, but she made a wonderful video about different Frankenstein, like retelling stories that go along with Frankenstein. And I'm very, very excited to pick some of those up. So, because like I said, I did really, really, really enjoy this. I got really into it. So I'm excited to read more, get more into it. I believe there was a nonfiction that she really, really highly recommended that that like made her become obsessed with Mary Shelley, and I need that level of obsession in my life. I love that. So yeah, Frankenstein, so good. Okay, sorry, moving on. The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. I rated it 3 stars. It was an interesting plot line. We're in Paris. We're at an opera house. We've got Christine Daae. She's a singer. She's not very good. Suddenly one night she like starts singing like an angel, and everybody's like, whoa, what the heck? Why is she so good all of a sudden? And you've got her childhood friend who ends up falling in love with her. You've got Raoul, who suddenly starts coming to the opera house, and he starts kind of trying to court her, and she's kind of like, no, I can't. But Raoul ends up discovering, Christine Daae ends up entrusting Raoul with this information that, well, I guess throughout the whole atmosphere of the opera house is that there is this ghost. He's got his own special box. People see him sometimes. He's this like scary kind of entity there. Nobody knows what the heck, but Christine Daae ends up getting close with him, I guess. And Raoul ends up finding out about it, and it just ends up being this super wild thing. I found the ghost towards the end. Okay, so here's why I rated it 3 stars. It sounds really interesting. I don't know if the way I just explained it sounded interesting, but if you go and read the synopsis, Phantom of the Opera sounds really fascinating to me. Haunted opera house, ghost that runs around. Awesome. That's like such creepy vibes. What I didn't like was there was what didn't draw me in so much. There was just a lot of explanation. There was a lot of like, I'm like, what is going on? What are you talking about? I didn't feel like the story was always front and center. I didn't feel like the plot was always front and center. I don't know what was always front and center except for words, meaningless words. I found out about Phantom of the Opera. I didn't even know it was a novel. I knew it was a show, but I didn't know that it was a novel. There's a girl, I can't remember her name. She rereads this every single year. So I was like, oh my gosh, a yearly reread? I need to read it myself. And I I don't see ever wanting to like read it again. I didn't really care about anybody, especially at the end. Like, I generally end up being on the villain side for some reason, and this villain was just kind of, picture a whiny, desperate for love man who thinks that the world like owes him something, that like a kiss from a girl is, now they're like married. She loves him, and I really just, I didn't like it really at all. Again, I don't think that I'll ever reread this. Will I keep it? I don't know, maybe. I don't know. But the Phantom of the Opera was not super impressive to me. But I did rate it 3 stars. It was an okay reading experience. So, The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I think that this was my first Riley Sager book, but I might be wrong. It was, I rated it 2 stars. I rated it 2 stars. And, okay, so let me read you this. This is kind of what is forefront. At 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope. So a long time ago in this house at Hope's End, you've got this story that the whole town knows about. Lenora Hope, who is now in a wheelchair. She doesn't speak. She's kind of reliable on her nurse, who ends up like being the forefront of the story. So Lenora Hope, it is rumored that she murdered her family, her parents and her sister. So her new home health aide, Kit, she's kind of down on her luck. She has some troubles of her own. She's been accused of something herself. She lost her job for a while. Now this is her first job back because nobody else would want to take care of Lenora Hope. So this is how Kit ends up at Hope's End. And she ends up figuring out that Lenora can type on a typewriter. So that's how they come to communicate. Well, Kit ends up being told by Lenora what happened the night that Lenora's family passed away. There were some twists. And I didn't feel like the twist. It was very popcorny. It was very like, okay. I didn't see that coming at all because it makes no sense. Basically, the ending was how I felt. I sort of enjoyed the reading experience. Like, it was okay, but like at the end, the twist, it was just like so convenient. I just hate when a twist is like too convenient and it's like, okay, well, I mean, okay, like, of course that could have happened. That could have happened because we're reading a fictional book. But it's like, did it have to be that way? Could it have been something a little bit more, I don't know. I've never written a book. I've never published a book. Obviously Riley Sager has. So I'm not judging too hard. I just feel like as a reader, I was like, come on, could we not have come up with something else? Could we not have come up with something else here? And that's kind of what I have to say about that. It was okay. It was a sort of enjoyable reading experience. I was happy when it was over. I was frustrated when it was over, but I was happy that it was over. I listened to this. It's You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. You have city girl Grace Evans. She ends up renting an Airbnb from a hottie named Calvin. So she ends up in this house in this town. I don't remember where the town was, but small town. People don't like outsiders, especially this Grace Evans girl. She clearly works out. She's very attractive. The women of the town don't like her. But the story is told from Grace Evans's point of view and also Calvin's. I rated this book 2 stars, and here is why. Again, the ending. It was like, there were so many times where it was like the dialogue, the people, the characters, they weren't believable. I was like, people just don't really react like this. The ending, you shouldn't have come here. I know the books are like this. I know that you're just gonna get books like this, but I just feel like when the main character is narrating, there should be no secrets. There should not be any secrets, because you don't have secrets from yourself. So if you're telling the story from, and I don't know, I might be wrong about this. If you disagree, go ahead and let me know, like, kind of like what I'm missing here, because I feel like there are so many books that are like this, and like, I know that twists are a good thing, but I just feel like when the main character, when the person who does the twist has been literally telling you the story the whole time, and then suddenly this bombshell comes out, like, about this person, it's like, wait, why didn't I know that? Or like, why wasn't it written from like third POV or something? Like, why is this told in first person POV, and you're literally keeping a secret from me, the reader, but you're not keeping a secret from yourself, the person narrating the story? I hope that makes sense. I don't know if that frustrates you too. I don't know how to get around that. I don't like feeling as if I'm reading a story. I feel like I am being given the information and I need to figure it out from there. And like, if some wild left field thing comes in, then cool, awesome. But I don't feel like it should happen with Roman. Okay, honey, I'm gonna put it down in a second. I literally have my phone up on his, he calls it his sofa. There's literally a recliner up on an ottoman, I felt like I was trying to just find the best angle. I don't have a tripod. I bought 3. They all get broken. So it's probably a me problem, to be honest. But like, at this point, I'm just like, I'm not buying another one until I like do some research and find one that's really, really good. So yeah, for now, I just do random, handyman, MacGruber type of, is that it? MacGruber? Type of, fixes. So right now, my phone is currently propped up on my son's, sofa, and also a photo album. I'll show you it. I will show you it at the end, and let me know if you just appreciate my ingenuity. Cause it's pretty good. It's pretty clever. I did not talk about the September house. Okay. So let me tell you about the September house. I cannot believe I just almost got done with this video without even talking about the September house. Okay. So the September house, written by Carissa Orlando. I read this book because the Horror Hideout was doing a live show, and I really wanted to be a part of that. I love all 3 of those booktubers. I am extremely inspired by their content. Plus, I just enjoy it. They all talk about a lot of horror, a lot of thrillers. It's Michaela Reed's As Told by Maddie and Books with Tafakudo. And again, I love all of their channels. You should definitely go check them out. I will link them all down below, because I always do. So they picked, their pick for this month was the September house. And I really, really, really wanted to participate in that. Very quickly, I wanted to DNF the book. I will tell you why. So you've got Margaret and Hal. They buy their forever home. They find it as a super good deal. They find a Victorian house on Hawthorne Street. And, you know, it seems like all of their dreams have come true. They're empty nesters. Their daughter, Catherine, doesn't live with them anymore. They've had some troubles in their marriage. Hal's got a bit of a drinking problem. And they think that everything is finally better for them. Well, every September, this is the September house, okay, the walls start bleeding. Ghosts come out. The old spirits who passed away in this house come out to play. They're kind of wild, some of them. One of them cooks dinner for him every night, makes tea for Margaret. So, you know, in this month of September, things go a little bit haywire in this house, but, you know, Hal doesn't like that. Hal is like, I don't really want to live in a house like this. I don't enjoy it. I would be on Hal's side with this one. But Margaret is like, no, this is our home. We can make this work. And about 4 years in, Hal decides, you know what? I've had enough. I don't want to live here anymore. Hal leaves. Margaret doesn't hear from him again. They've been married a long ass time. Suddenly her husband leaves because he doesn't want to live in this house. Margaret decides to stay. She's not concerned about where Hal goes. She's not talked to him. She just doesn't really care. So that was weird to me. Margaret is extremely kooky. And I love kooky. I am kooky. I did not like the kookiness of Margaret. She just seemed a little bit, I was like, is something like off in her brain? Is she okay? Like, what is she not? She was an unreliable character, but that's okay because I knew it the whole time. I knew that she was not reliable. I didn't know if she was losing her mind or what, but I knew that she wasn't. I knew that she wasn't reliable. Catherine, the daughter, ends up finding out that Hal is missing. She ends up coming. Then things really go crazy. But I didn't enjoy the book at all. I would have DNF'd it, again, without the discussion that the Horror Hideout was going to do. I ended up enjoying it more at the end, so that's why I ended up rating it 3 stars versus the 1 that I wanted to. It's a haunted house story, basically. I did end up liking Margaret more towards the end. I just don't really like a docile woman who doesn't confront reality, or she's like in a situation, she's like, ta-da, you know, no, I don't care. I don't really, you know, I'm fine with the way that these ghosts come out. I'm just going to stay here because I own this house, and, you know, I just want to own my own house. It just didn't seem realistic to me. I was like, I don't respect this woman at all. But towards the end, the way that things ended, I did end up liking it better. The ending, the last like 50 pages probably was when I started getting more into it. That is why I ended up rating it 3 stars versus the 1. So yeah, that's what I thought about the September house. Okay, so doing the math, so if I would have bought the only one left, hardback, the version that I read, and also the Audible version of You Shouldn't Have Come Here, the total I would have spent was $32.13. So that's lower than it was last month, but this month I am already like reading so many different library books, so I'm really excited to see what it's going to be at the end of November. But $32 is pretty good. If I would use that money responsibly, it could really grow into something worthwhile. So I'm excited. I wouldn't want either one of those books on my bookshelf. So it's also kind of an environmental stance. I am very glad not to have to dispose of them now. So good choices, good save. Not only did I save $32, but I also saved myself from consumerism a little bit. I'm not going to tell you how much I spent like on some of these books, but and what I saved $32. So okay, so yeah, that is my October wrap up. I got lots of reading done. Again, I'm so happy, and I actually think that November might be better, but who knows? We're not going to go there yet. I'm just doing my best. So yeah, I had so much fun reading these these scary books. I'm ready to take down my things and kind of start getting ready for Christmas. I love the season. I love cozy. I can't wait to tell you about my TBR for November. Lots of different fun things happening. I am so happy you're here. I really appreciate you. I love the comments I get. I love the friendships that I'm making here. And I am just so infinitely grateful for everything. So thank you again so much. Take good care. Take the best care. I hope that you had the best October ever and even a better November. Take care. Bye. Okay, so ignore every single thing in the background. But this right here is where I had my my phone propped up against. So that is why my son is currently angry at me, because I had his sofa up on the ottoman. And yeah, so isn't that funny? The dedication of me.